Morning everyone, so we are on to a new topic today. So this is going to be one which again is just a single lesson. This will be our only time we talk about it, and again when we get back in the classroom at some point come exam time we'll talk about this. But remember, a lot of the information what we've got that comes in these individual lessons will be applied through different ways all the way through the course. So some questions in the exams might not explicitly say something, but you can always relate it to these topics. So intellectual property rights is our topic today. How to protect your design, sometimes known as IPR. It's a bit easier to just say that. Sing a song, take a picture. I'll let you maybe try that one out, but that's usually my little introduction to that one. And yes, I have had people up singing songs. It's usually a bit of fun. We're looking at the key stages of what IPR is, how to apply IPR. Okay, I'm going to get you to do some written answers and a wee bit of get a bit of creativity at the end of this one. So let's keep going to the end and see what we get. What does it mean? So thinking to yourself just now, if I said to you intellectual property rights, think to yourself, what does that actually mean? What could that actually mean in a business sense? What is a property right? And I'm not talking about physical like a house or something. I'm talking about physical property that you have. Well, IPR is the basis for people, so to protect their work and stop other people from stealing, copying or using their ideas. It's as simple as that. So if I come up with some bright invention, I would like to make that, I'd like to sell it, I'd like to make the money off it. I would not want someone else to actually look at my work and then decide, oh, I'll do that, that looks good, I'll copy that. So it's there to protect things like this. And it's actually more prevalent around you than you actually think, and you know more than you actually think as well. Because if I had you in front of me just now, I'm sure people would be giving me little reasons and saying, oh, what about this, what about this? A couple of wee videos to watch in this one as well. You notice that this quote came a couple of years ago, but it's probably not far off. It might even be more now, who knows. But in the US economy, so not us, but in the US, I use them because they're bigger than what we are, and they do a lot more trade than us. $225 to $600 billion each year is lost to stolen goods, counterfeit goods. And according to Official Commission, China remains the principal IP infringer. Now that's not planned in today's situation to actually highlight that. This was all written well before this. Let's just have a wee watch of my video, and gives you a wee flavour.
The Chinese are very good at this sort of thing. I'm speaking to you now from behind a pair of fake Ray-Bans, wearing a fake Armani jacket, carrying a fake Louis Vuitton bag, in which we find a fake iPad and a fake iPhone. And if we consult my fake Omega, we see that it's 25 to 3, probably, which means it's time to pop into the fake Starbucks over there for a cup of fake coffee. It seems then that the expression copyright infringement doesn't translate terribly well into Mandarin.
All of which explains this. It looks like a BMW X5, but actually it's a blatant copy called the Xuan S-CEO HBJ6474Y. Then there's this, a copy of the Fiat Panda. And this, a copy of the Smart Fall 2. And this, a copy of the Daewoo Matiz.
Did you hear about the Lifan motorcycles? Lifan is a Chinese company. They make exact copies of small Honda motorcycles. But to make sure you don't notice, they changed the name on the tank.
To what?
Hongda. Hongda. Hongda.
So on that basis then, is this Mini a minging?
The Mingy, it should be, yeah.
It's the most tragic looking thing. It's like somebody has described a Mini to someone on the telephone, all sent a really blurry fax.
Yeah.
Right, there we are, that's what it looks like.
It is very cheap, though.
How much is it?
£4,100.
That is cheap.
But this Toyota Aygo over here is only $3,500.
It's not an Aygo. That's an FO. That's what it's called, FO. I think that's a coded message to Toyota if Toyota ever decide to sue the fake makers.
But actually, do any of these people ever get taken to court?
Yeah. BMW sued the people making the X5 fake, and they lost.
Really?
Yeah, the Chinese government said, no, it doesn't look anything like an X-File. We don't know what you're on about.
It's funny, I thought they looked really similar.
No, they don't.
No, they're not?
No.
That's just me?
No, it's just you.
All right, okay.
Okay, so a good few things in there just popping up, some terms that we're going to use, and again you'll recognise a few bits and pieces there. So I actually thought that was quite relevant in terms of how the Chinese go about it. It's maybe the most the easiest one to maybe spot when it's actually trying to look at fake goods. And just as an aside to that, BMW actually tried to take China to court to say that they were copying that design, and the Chinese court just threw it out. So to be fair, they're a law unto themselves. They can do what they want across there. They can't enforce international law onto someone who doesn't want it. So anything can be copied. Anything can be copied. So I've just highlighted a few images here of, you know, if I put these in front of you, tell me which is the original and which is the fake. I'd be struggling to do it. I've actually forgotten which one's which now as well, to be fair. Cars, software, so games, stuff like this. You might have seen that if you're kicking about. Certainly music can get copied. These things which were quite popular a few years ago, man, there's some good YouTube videos of people falling off them, isn't there? Anything can get copied, to be fair. Anything can get copied. It's a case of, though, if someone does copy it, it's how do you go about actually stopping that copy actually coming into the country. And it doesn't just sort of go with those things as well. Iron Brew, you know, they've got their recipe and they keep it secret. So they keep theirs a trade secret. They don't publish it anyway. They don't say this is it. They don't put all the ingredients onto the thing so that someone can go copy it. So things like that, artwork as well, it's all going to be protected as well. And all the companies you see here, they're all got something which someone else wants. So how do we stop it? Well, there's a number of different options open to designers and manufacturers to do that. Question, which members of the design team could be involved in the next few slides? So again, take a wee moment to pause, have a wee think, who could be doing that out of that list that I gave you, who might be involved in what's coming up here? Well, we're going to think about the lawyer, an accountant, the designer itself, and the market researcher. So those are my four kind of design team members who are going to have maybe the most impact into this. Some of the terms that come up, if you can think about them, yeah, see if they come up in your head. First one is probably one of the easiest ones to remember, is copyright. I think most people have heard of copyright. You get copyright protection straight away. You don't have to pay for it. As soon as you have your work, it is copyrighted. If I was doing something, I would actually date it and put something on it so that I can actually see, you know, have a little bit of a reference as to what I have actually created as such. So you see there, copyright is more associated with things which are written, artwork, illustration, photography. My list there, I'm not going to read it all out for you. You can go and have a wee look back through that. And generally you'll see this little symbol, the circle with a C inside it if it's copyrighted, naming your creation. But you don't, you know, even if it doesn't have it, you don't have to put it onto it. Your work is copyrighted immediately. You've heard of a lot of big music producers maybe getting sued for using a bit of someone else's music or parts of it or something sounding similar. I think the biggest case just now out there is Ed Sheeran. He's in a bit of stooky in terms of some of his songs, so there's people out there who are saying, oh no, I made this first, he's heard a bit of it and then he's copied it, sampling, sounds a bit like other ones. So go Google Ed Sheeran. We're not talking like a couple of £100 here, by the way. We're talking millions of pounds here in terms of fees. We're talking about having to pay money back because he's earned it from that work, so other people are entitled to it. So yeah, we're talking millions here. So copyright prevents people copying the work, distributing it free charge, or sale. Even what I do here, in theory, that little video clip I've got there that you've just watched, that's copyrighted by the BBC. Should I be using it? I'll come on to that in a minute. Renting, lending, performing, making. So there's lots of things that you cannot do with people's work. In most countries, it's 50 years plus the life of the person. So if I get to the grand old age of 80, then you know that covers me for 130 years for most of the work there. 25 years for photographs, but other types of work's different. You don't need to know the details. A couple of keywords I'm going to use here at the end. Fair use policy, public domain. I've used that clip from the BBC under the terms of what I think is fair use policy. I'm using a small amount of it for educational use. I'm not using the whole thing. I'm not looking to gain anything from it. And in theory, when I put this up on YouTube, then I will acknowledge the BBC for that. In fact, let's hope that the YouTube's special things don't actually catch me out like they have done with my IKEA one, where I can't get it published because there's a claim, a copyright claim on one of my videos. We'll come to that. So fair use policy or public domain. Public domain is when something is out there, it's been shown, everybody's seen it already, the person gains nothing from it. So if you want to know more about that, you would just go to a government website, type in copyright, and there's Intellectual Property Office. They have more details if you were that way inclined. One of the most important ones for us is what's called a design right. It automatically protects your design for 10 years after it was first sold, or 15 years from when it's created, whichever the earliest. So it's not a lifetime thing, but it does cover you. So we'll cover you for something you have physically designed, chairs, you know, bottle shapes, we've got rackets there. So it's anything physically that has something that is of interest. Okay, so it stops someone doing it. It applies to the shape and configuration rather than how it actually works as such. Okay, so how objects may be arranged, you can register it for better protection as long as it meets the design or the eligibility criteria. And you must register design to protect any things like graphics, tiles and wallpapers. There's one of the easiest things to maybe copy there. When we register it, it becomes that registered design. So it protects, you know, based on appearance, physical shape, configuration, just what we've done there, decoration. And again, it's slightly different. You have to pay for it and you have to renew it every 5 years to actually keep this running. So if you forget to do it, someone will nip in there and make a copy of it. It makes taking legal action a bit more straightforward. You print off your design registration number on it, let people know, and then again you have to go away and check as well to make sure that you don't stand on someone else's toes. Trademark, something else which some people might be aware of or have heard, and again, how do we use it? If we think sometimes clothing or that, you might have seen it on that. There's certain clothing brands which are famous for having it. So a trademark, it protects a symbol, a sign or a logo. So it's slightly different. Or what I would say is, I've actually gone on, I think, to say a little bit more. It's not just the symbol, sign or logo, it's whatever that symbol, sign or logo is physically on. So if it's on a t-shirt, it protects the t-shirt. If it's on a hand tool, it protects the hand tool. Okay. Normally the signs and the symbols in themselves, they identify brands or companies, so it's quite easy to see a particular company through these things. So again, we've got so many of these. You remember maybe back in first year doing some of this. I like to do a bit of this in graphics as well when it comes to designing a little bit of stuff. So it's to give you, you know, why do we have that? You know, the badges of origin, the distinguished goods and services, and there's reasons for that, because if you think about it, if you've got a really strong brand, and we'll do branding later, if I've got a really strong brand, then if it's instantly recognisable, people will just buy it on the basis of seeing my little symbol on it. If someone else copies that and they've got substandard goods and the goods fail on them, then I've got the problem where the perception is my brand is not as good as it was, but that wasn't my part, that wasn't me that made that. But that's not what the customer knows. All they think of is, no, that was associated with you, it had your trademark on it. So that's why these things are here. So trademarks usually shown here by little symbols. So if they are registered, they'll have the TM symbol or they'll have the R symbol round about here as well. So you know, you do see them around quite a lot. You do have to pay to actually keep this in place as well, and you have to watch what you can and cannot trademark. Any famous ones happening just now, I think there was one in the Scottish borders recently where the guy had a name similar to a big multinational company. He had the name, it was nothing like the multinational, but the multinational didn't like it and tried to shut them down on the basis of a word. So it can get quite difficult to actually prove. But you know, the problem is when you've got a big multinational, they've got a lot of money behind them, they've got a lot of lawyers behind them. If you're a small company, it's costly to fight these things in court. So usually the little man backs down. I think if you go and look at trademark battles, you'll find things, especially in America, burger joints, things like this. You know, McDonald's wasn't the only burger joint with a big yellow M when it started out. You know, there have been others. So, trademark. Again, something good just to go away, play, have a wee Google, see what comes up. A couple of questions here that we'd normally do in class, which would, why would you want to do it? I've alluded to that a little bit. Examples of this. So you again think about where you might have heard about things like this. What might be the outcome of a company caught infringing a trademark? Again, go away, have a wee look, see what happens if somebody infringes a trademark. Patents. Okay, this one slightly different. Let's have a wee look here. See what we've got.
Okay, I have here the 4 greatest inventions in the history of mankind. First, my all-purpose electric hammer for all your pounding needs. Probably needs to be more powerful.
I'll buy 10 of those right now.
Now, here's my everything's okay alarm. This will sound every 3 seconds unless something isn't okay.
Turn it off, Homer.
It can't be turned off. But it does break easily. Now, this next one's for the ladies. How many times have you gals been late for a high-powered business meeting only to realize you're not wearing makeup?
That's every woman's nightmare.
That's why I invented this revolutionary makeup gun. It's for the woman who only has 4/5 of a second to get ready. Close your eyes, Marge. And now you're ready for a night on the town.
Homer, you've got it set on whore.
Oop. Okay, this time try to keep your nostrils closed. Oh, look what you did. Now I have to go get my cold cream gun.
Dad, women won't like being shot in the face.
Women will like what I tell them to like. Now here's something for everyone. In the olden times, if you were watching TV and nature called, you have to get up and walk to the bathroom. It was the hardest thing in the world to do. But now, with a lazy man reclining toilet chair, you can just lean back and let her rip.
You expect people to go to the bathroom in their living rooms?
Sure, believe me, every man in America will want to have one.
Anyway, gotta poop. No, Bart. Homer, all these inventions, they're
Yes?
not very...
Yes.
They're terrible.
What?
I'm not saying you're a bad inventor. I'm just saying these particular inventions are awful, and no one in their right mind would buy them or accept them as gifts.
But this is the best I could do. I guess I'm no better at being Thomas Edison than I was at being Homer Simpson.
Oh, dear. I hope I wasn't too rough on him.
Somebody had to tell him, Mom. In the long run, it's much kinder to...
Do you mind?
All week.
Wow, I love how the Simpsons get away with some of the stuff that they do. There was a reference there just at the end there where he likened himself to Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison he's not a famous designer as such. Thomas Edison is famous for his light bulb, but not just that. He didn't invent the light bulb though, that's the thing. He just took someone else's invention and made it better. So this is one of these things, you know, where people get all the praise for doing something, but there was light bulbs around before Edison came along. He just made it so that you could actually have them, manufacture them, and they would actually last longer than a few days. Well, how could those people have stopped Thomas Edison doing anything? I don't know if it was available back when Edison was around. It may well have been, but patent protection, this is talking about now about inventions and stuff. And, you know, Homer's inventions there when you watch them. I do like that bit with the hammer there. And, well, maybe some of you would like that poop chair, you know, save you having to get up from the Xbox and whatnot. Patents are used to protect the business or a company or an individual. It's the most complicated one to use because of the impact across the world. Different countries have different rules regarding patents. Patent is there to protect an invention. Gives you the right to take legal action against anyone who makes, uses, sells or imports it without your permission. To be granted a patent, and this is where it gets complicated, you need to make something that can be made or used. It needs to be new. It can't be something which already exists. It needs to be inventive, so it's not just a simple modification to something that already exists. So it's quite a difficult process to go through. It's expensive, and before you apply, you need to check if there's already a patent there. So there is actually a patent office. I'm not going to click that because I don't want to come out of the slides. So patents, I have actually seen patents or people actually get them. In one of my previous workplaces, I had quite a clever guy, a couple of clever guys in fact, and they actually came up with patents, and it took quite a while to actually go through this. Now, the thing is, the patent didn't actually belong to them as such. The patent belonged to the company because the company developed it. So, it was worthwhile for the company to do that, protect their information, because it was something that was new, it's something that had never been done before, and we didn't really want someone else copying it, especially our rivals who were already in business, and if they got wind of what we were doing, they would have copied it for sure, because it was a much better way of doing something. So yeah, patent's expensive for the little man. This is where you have a special lawyer called a patent lawyer. So we might bring him on board as part of the design team at the start, just to do some work for us if we think we've got something very, very special. Can't afford to employ him all the time, so we would contract him in. Again, I wrote here, I thought it's important that we know what you can't patent as well. So looking at the list there, if you look down that list there are reasons why we can't do some of this stuff. The literary stuff dramatic, you can't patent that because that's covered by copyright. The way of doing a business or playing a game or thinking, well, that's a personal thing. How do you stop someone doing that? Medical treatment, why not? Why can't we patent certain medical treatments? Well, that's ethical, isn't it? It's ethical. If you've got a way of saving people's lives, is it right that you don't share it? So you can't just keep it and charge people money for actually doing that. Scientific theories and discoveries, mathematical, it's because they're there for the benefit of the world. Computer programs, mobile apps, essential biological processes. So there's a lot of stuff here you can't patent. Again, computer programs and mobile apps would be covered by copyright. So there's just a little bit of thinking there as to what can and can't. We don't have to think about that in the exam. We just need to know what are patents, how do they apply, and how does it affect your business. So our summary, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 things you need to know about, the definitions of them, how they're actually used. And you just need to be able to explain or describe that. At the end of the exam, usually there's an essay type question. In theory, I could see this come up as an essay question. Explain how each of the intellectual property rights are applied, and use examples in your answer. And that could be an 8 marker. See if that came up, that'd be great. It would be a good one to get. So homework. So I'll set this as a separate slide as such, so that you don't have to go to the video to watch this and actually get this. And again, this time I'll let you just submit it as a Google form this time, so you can type it up and just attach it and add it in rather than me doing a quiz on this one. So for each of the IPR methods, so we've got 5 there, I want a summary in your own words of what each one protects. Just a couple of sentences, 2 to 3 sentences. It's just to get your understanding. I gave you 4 design team members, and for each of the member, describe how they might be involved in the implementation. What would they actually do? What do you think they might do? And again, you might have to go away and do a wee bit of research here on the design team and link in IPR with that as well. Last little task. So this will take us to the end of the week, I think. A little design task. Now, I've not talked about design, but I want to see a little bit of creativity, just see. It says create a company logo that reflects you and your interests. It should fit in an A5 sheet of paper, so that's the maximum size, maximum bit. I'm actually going to get you to do two versions, 2 variations. Why? Because I think if I get you to do one, it'll take you 5 minutes to maybe come up with one. I'm looking for shape, I'm looking for colour. Look at the logos, look back. I don't want a copy of a logo off the internet. I want you to create something which is individual to you and try and present it to me in a way which, think about me as your client and going forward. I want, a nice, neat piece of work and which gives me, you know, a reflection of what you're about there. So colour and shape. Those who have done graphics, you'll be great with this. If you've done art, which I think I've seen quite a few people in their little feedback form have done art, great, should be good at this as well. In fact, see, looking back through the feedback form, I think everybody's done some element of creativity in terms of what we're doing. So colour, shape, important. How you layer the stuff, information, it can have words on it. I'll let you decide how, you know, you want to portray that. So a couple of ideas, just a little bit about you, see if I can work out who's who, and I'll probably post all these up. So this was an easy introduction this week. You know why? I think sometimes some other subjects hammer you with lots and lots of stuff, so kind of kept it easy. Next week we'll pick up on another topic and some sketching skills and see how we get on with that at the start of the week. Okay, so keep a lookout for me posting this, posting the actual homework side, and again, like I say, it'll just be a Google form, and you can just upload an image to Google as well, Google Classroom, of your work. Neat, tidy, colour please.